Hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe, and today we're going to be talking about the inevitable coaching changes to come for the Saints as we see Doug Marrone leave the Saints and now Ronald Curry doing the same. We are supposed to have a hire after the Super Bowl for new offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Can't make the hire official till after the Super Bowl. And like I said, I'm not celebrating until pen meets paper. But all indications are that Kubiak will be the new offensive coordinator. And when Doug Marrone was let go a couple of days ago, I thought, well, this needed to happen anyway, because I've seen a regression in the offensive line. Now, I give Marrone credit for a little bit of what progression we saw from Cesar Ruiz last year, not this past year, but the year before, Doug Marrone's first year back. There was an increase in Cesar Ruiz's production, just enough so that he could sign that big fat extension. And in this past season, his first year in his new big fat contract, he showed a regression, big time. I would also say that James Hurst was a little questionable. I think that McCoy had some of his worst games of his career this past season. And not to mention Ryan Ramczyk, who's dealing with that injury, but he was one of the best right tackles in football. And then I think he finished with a PFF grade of like 73, 75, something like that. Yeah, not among the best in the league this past year. I'm not a fan of Doug Marrone. I think it's kind of weird that the offensive line looked good at times and looked awful at times. We showed an improvement, but this was at the end of last season and the end of Doug Marrone's second season. And so I'm not a fan, and I expected him to go anyway. And there's rumors that we're going to hire somebody else, and of course those people are connected to Kubiak. And we'll examine some of that, but to me, letting Marrone go didn't mean for sure that we were definitely hiring Kubiak. It was weird, though, because Joe Thomas, the running back coach for the Saints, he had taken a lateral move weeks ago to go coach running backs with the Giants. And that was kind of weird. We let go Pete Carmichael and Bob Bicknell and Cody Burns. Bob Bicknell was an offensive assistant. Cody Burns was a pretty good wide receivers coach that we had plucked from the college ranks. And when we let him go, he immediately gets a job, of course, in Denver. And Pete Carmichael, of course, immediately gets a job in Denver. Now, Joe Lombardi is officially the offensive coordinator, number one assistant to Sean Payton there in Denver. And I figured Payton wouldn't fire or demote Joe Lombardi. So Pete Carmichael is officially an offensive assistant, right? Doug Marrone, I don't think he's gotten a job anywhere yet, but he won't stay unemployed long. He does a good job. His thing is mostly man gap with the offensive line, and, teams do that. And he's got head coaching experience, offensive coordinating experience. I think Doug Marrone will get hired very quickly. So the only coach left on the offensive side besides assistants is our tight ends coach, Clancy Barone. And Clancy Barone, in my opinion, he has this experience before he comes to the Saints with good tight ends in the past, Antonio Gates, et cetera, et cetera. So we expect great things from him, and apparently everybody in the building loves him. But I saw a decrease in the output of our tight ends this past season. And I know, Moreau, first year in the system, cancer diagnosis at the beginning. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But him and Derek Carr didn't seem to be on the same page. They definitely didn't have that red zone connection they used to have with the Raiders. And then Juwan Johnson, our tight end that gets 7 touchdowns 2 seasons ago, and then this past year, he's a shell of himself. Now he was dealing with injuries as well. He manages 4 touchdowns toward the end of the season, but I just, I'm not, from a fan's point of view, and that's all I am. I'm not overly impressed with what our tight ends are doing since we've gotten Clancy Marrone. But the fact that he's still on the staff is another indication Kubiak's all but hired, because these two have worked together before. And I think that would be a good fit. The tight ends coach for San Fran's probably not going anywhere. So, of course, we're going to look at San Francisco's coaching staff as potential candidates for replacements here. So, Pete Carmichael going to get replaced by Clint Kubiak as our offensive coordinator. Cody Burns, the wide receivers coach, he's gone, and I'm not sure what we're going to do as far as getting another wide receiving coach. That's interesting. I got to look at this. Okay, the 49ers wide receivers coach is Leonard Hankerson, and I don't see any assistants to the wide receivers coaching staff on staff with the 49ers. Typically, that's what I would do. I would look at whoever's an assistant with that position group as they would see a promotion if they would come over with Clint Kubiak. I don't see anyone there. I doubt Leonard Hankerson. He's been in the league 9 years. We'll see. But I'm sure Kubiak has plenty of wide receiver coaches in mind. But that's one I'm going to keep an eye on because I really liked Cody Burns. And I thought he was good at developing younger players. So, we'll keep an eye on that. I'll be excited to find out who that's going to be. And I'll do a video about it when the Saints figure it out. As far as offensive assistants go, that could be anybody. And what we're really looking at here is a quarterback coach, offensive line coach, running back coach. We need to replace all of that. So Clint Kubiak comes over as a former offensive passing game specialist. And I'm assuming he's got plenty of experience with quarterbacks in his past, of course. And he could do that job himself. But right now, technically, Brian Griese is San Francisco's quarterbacks coach. If he were to come over with Clint Kubiak, he would be the quarterback coach and the offensive passing game specialist. And those are 2 different titles with San Fran, and they could be 2 different titles here. They weren't. Ronald Curry was our quarterbacks coach and passing game specialist. And so Griese would have technically a raise, a promotion. He would have 2 titles instead of 1. So it's very possible Brian Griese comes and replaces Ronald Curry. Ronald Curry went to the Buffalo Bills, by the way. He's already been hired. So that's our number 1 guy to look at for our new quarterback coach and passing game specialist. Now, Clint Kubiak's brother, Clay Kubiak, is an assistant quarterback coach with the 49ers right now, and he would get a promotion as well if he came over with his brother. So that's somebody you have to look at. So I'm assuming as far as quarterback coach and passing game specialist, we're looking at Brian Griese and Clay Kubiak to come over with Clint. The running game, that's interesting. If we're going to do a zone run scheme, then we'll probably need a new running backs coach. Now, we've got some running back assistants on staff right now that are highly regarded by our team and, by others in the league. And there's a chance we promote from within, but Right now, I'm looking at San Francisco's staff. Anthony Lynn is their running backs coach, and he's the assistant head coach with the 49ers. I think Anthony Lynn was the head coach for Tampa Bay for a while. So he's technically the running backs coach, and he's an assistant head coach, and he's not going anywhere. Uh, the other running back coach on the 49ers staff is a guy named Robert Turner Jr., who's got like damn near 30 years experience in the league coaching running backs. I guess since he's technically an assistant or co-running back coach, might be considered a promotion if he came over with Kubiak to be our running backs coach. So Robert Turner Jr. is one guy that I would point at for running backs coach replacement. Now, offensive line, to me, that's the most important piece. And the front runner for that job is a guy named John Benton. He's worked with Greg Kubiak before. He's very familiar with Clint. He's worked under Kyle Shanahan. So John Benton is a guy that would be an ideal fit. Right now, he is the offensive line and running game coordinator for the Jets. So if Benton came over, he could be offensive line coach and running backs coordinator. For us, it would be a lateral move, but he would be reuniting with Clint Kubiak, and the Jets didn't have a good situation last year once Hall got hurt at the running back position. So that's a tough one. I think Benton, the idea of Benton coming over, and maintaining two titles, offensive line coach and running game coordinator, iffy, but yeah, he's the front runner right now. Now he could just be our offensive line coach, and we could hire someone else to deal with the running game. Or we can just have all these assistants from within help with the running game. But there's other two names that I want to mention as far as offensive line potential coaches: James Craig and Joe Graves. Both of them are with the 49ers right now. Both of them are assistant offensive line coaches, so they would both be promoted if they came over with Kubiak. So James Craig and Joe Graves. But I think still the front runner's Benton from the Jets. And like I said, if he's the running game coordinator, he'll probably have assistants with the running game. And there's also probably a few coaches out there that I'm not identifying here that could come over to help with the running backs. It would be nice if Clint Kubiak could get a good running game going. It's something that San Francisco does very well. I think they were third in the league this past year. And it's exciting if it happens and we hire the guy. It's very exciting. I see what, Christian McCaffrey's able to do in San Fran. I think about Alvin Kamara's skill set. And I'm thinking, yeah, Kamara might not produce as much as McCaffrey, but he's going to produce a lot more than he's been producing the last couple of years with us. He'll be a year older, but I have faith in Kamara. I think he's got a lot of ability still. He's got a lot left in the tank. I think Kamara's got at least 2 more years of very productive football. When a guy like Alvin Kamara, who we're used to seeing get 1,500 all-purpose yards, and in this past year, he got like 1,200, and we all say it's a down year. It's a phenomenal year for a running back to get over 1,000 yards in offense. And so, yeah, I'm not too down on Kamara's production, and I'm pretty excited about what he can do in this system. If zone run scheme on the outside, Kamara will have 3 lanes to choose from. It seems like the running backs in our offense this past year didn't have anywhere to run because they only had one place to go and it wasn't being blocked well enough. I mean, I feel like we saw that a lot this past year. So I'm a little excited, like I say, if all of this happens, to see an increased production from Alvin Kamara and even Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller. And it's something you'll have to think about in free agency and in the draft, a type of running back that can attack these zone schemes, and I will be doing other videos focusing on positions of need that's going to coordinate with this new offense, and those videos will come after the hire. I do have one lined up, so subscribe to Rosenfield 10. And the one I have lined up is actually about defense. We're going to stick to what we pretty much know is going to happen. I mean, Dennis Allen's our defensive coordinator. Our defense is pretty good most of the time. Don't know if he's going to change the course. We'll talk about all of that, especially at edge rusher. That's what I got coming up later. So subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos like this. I'm Joe. Doug Marrone's gone. Our contingency plan, Ronald Curry, is gone. And so now I think that means, since Ronald Curry's gone, that we're not going to have Chucky, John Gruden, as an offensive assistant. And if the contingency plan is gone, that, to me, means that Clint Kubiak is all but signed. So, good news. I'm excited. These coaching moves mean that we're that much closer to changing this offense, hopefully for the best. And we'll be talking about those changes. So subscribe, and until then, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?